Hi, welcome to the Carnivore Couple channel. We are not together, obviously, right now. Our schedules have not aligned to have a day off together, probably till the end of August. So we didn't want to do a video separately, but again, waiting a couple more weeks since we have some big developments that have happened that we wanted to share, and so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to do this video to explain essentially why we came off the carnivore diet, and nothing horrible in any way, shape, or form. Nobody's in the hospital, nothing like that. However, there are some changes that needed to be made, and for various reasons, for both me and my husband. And so I want to kind of get into the carnivore diet and why we don't think that it's a long-term solution. Just from, I know there's lots of doctors out there, and they're great, don't get me wrong. They have some really excellent information and regarding staying on carnivore long term. We know that the Eskimos, way up in the Arctic Circle, where they don't grow vegetation and they live basically off of meat, and have done so for obviously thousands of years, and all live healthy, relatively healthy lives. So it's not that carnivore in essence is bad. We just, like I said, there are various reasons why I went off, various reasons why my husband only did it for 4 weeks and then had to come off of it this past week. I came off of it a couple weeks ago. I was on carnivore for it was about 2.5 months. I want to say 11 weeks. I wanted to stretch it to 3 months, but there were some circumstances that made me have to come off of it early, and I'll explain again why. But for us, I do my research. I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse for 28 years, and I've had my own health issues with almost needing a liver transplant way back in my early 30s. I was told back in 2007 that I needed a liver transplant, and of course I have still my own liver. I never got a transplant, and also needed my gallbladder removed, which I never had, my uterus removed, which I never had done. So there's all these things that doctors wanted to remove and help, in their medical ways. And as a nurse, I saw the effects of having your gallbladder out. And they always say, there's very few side effects. Yeah, that's only if you adhere to a very strict diet in many ways. And I see a lot of complications post gallbladder removal. I also see obviously significant complications with liver transplants. So when I was told that, my kids were really young. My youngest was not even 2 years old when I was told that. I cried, and I thought, I can't go on like that. So I had to make some changes. And so that was when I started doing significant research into food, into how to be healthier, and things like that. And I've made some mistakes along the way. I failed, at attempts to eat healthier sometimes. Way back in 2010, I lost about 100 pounds. I was about 250. I went down to 150, and I stayed there for quite a few years. I felt great. Then I got sick again in 2013 because I'd had eczema my entire life. And when I was like 10 or 11, I had a doctor that wanted to put me on a special diet for like a elimination diet to see what I was allergic to. And I was like the second oldest of 5 kids, and my mom was like, not doing it. Sorry, I can't just feed you your own special food, because he wanted me to eat like lamb, rice, and broccoli, and then wanted me to add in foods slow at a time. So my mom thought that was too difficult at the time, which I get. And So she took me to a dermatologist, and from the age of 10 on, I was slathered in steroid creams for 30 years. So in 2013, I realized that the steroid creams were very detrimental to my skin and my body. It was causing a lot of my issues, probably part of my liver issues, as well as the bad diet I had since I was basically born. So, yeah, anyway, I gained weight with that, which was unfortunate because I had felt so good for a good solid 3 years. I had good energy. I went back to work. I fixed my liver. My liver enzymes were great. And then coming off the steroid creams, I destroyed it all because I was very depressed. My skin was falling off of me from the reaction from coming off the steroid creams, and I was in like significant amount of pain for quite a few years. And like I said, my skin sloughed off. I couldn't work. I was very depressed. And so that led me back to my bad eating. And so anyway, up and down with the diet, up and down with, trying to eat healthy. And then I went, I've tried to fix it in the last 10 years. Got my skin actually pretty healthy. After about 4 or 5 years, I really didn't have many problems except for a little bit of eczema here and there. And now I kind of just been like, I'll exercise a little bit, I'll eat healthier. And I'm talking healthy. My idea of healthy is like, organic, as natural food as possible. And so even like I'll have a little bit of wheat, but that is only in terms of like einkorn flour, which is an ancient wheat. And then I make it into like a sourdough. So that sourdough usually it's about like 90% free gluten. So it's only got like 10%, 5% of gluten in it. And einkorn of itself, because it's more of an ancient wheat, has only 50% of the gluten that our wheat in today's stores has. So it comes from Italy. You can buy it from Amazon. It's great stuff. A little difficult to work with, but that's okay. And like I said, I was making my own like kombucha. I was focusing on gut health. I've been doing all these things on and off for the last 10 years, on top of trying to work, we got 70 acres that we built a house on. We moved in 2017, trying to turn those 70 acres into a dream. And so that's why I'm traveling out here to California, because we make better money out here as traveling nurses and trying to get our farm up and going so that we don't have to work as nurses anymore. Because I don't necessarily believe in the medical model of health. I believe certain things are okay. I believe surgery is obviously necessary, and you got a broken bone, you need it fixed, obviously. I agree with that. I don't think all medicine is bad, but I think the majority of the way medicine has gone is not good. And so I see like a naturopathic practitioner, like I said, focused mainly on gut health. And I failed miserably a lot because I work a lot of hours, and the last person I take care of is myself. I take care of, obviously, my patients at work. I take care of my kids. And now that my kids are young adults out on their own, when I came out to California this time, I really felt like I either needed to make some really big changes or, that was it. It was just over for me. I mean, I could tell my liver was getting sluggish again. The weight had packed back on. I was up to 230 when I came out here to California. I was very disappointed in myself. So the first 4 months until like May, from January to May, I tried to eat better, and I was sluggish walking, but I lost 15 pounds, and I'm, going through menopause as well. So then I have that to deal with. But anyway, I digress. So then I did Carnivore, and that was for May, June, and July. And so I really felt a difference. I felt a lot of good differences. I did have energy. I want to say like after the second week, I want to say like week 3 or 4 to about 5 or 6, I did seem to have better energy. I was trying to exercise. I was getting a few cramps, but nothing too horrible. And the brain fog kind of lifted. My brain seemed clearer after a month. And so I was starting to really start to feel good. But then around, I want to say like 8 or 9, I kept getting more and more sluggish. I started losing my hair, and it's like really thin up, like right up through here is where I lost a lot of it. My gums, I really have gum issues, and being on carnivore made my gums bleed so much worse. Like, I want to say second or third week, they got better for about a week, and then bam, they went back to bleeding. And no matter how much I flossed, it just kept bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. And I'm just like, I just got really tired of that. That was a big issue for me. And also trying to balance the low energy. If I try to increase my fat, I would have better energy. But with my work schedule, I wasn't able to sneak in those fat snacks like I needed to. And I was just finding myself more sluggish. And I could tell my liver was getting worse. And for me, my telltale signs for my liver, and like I said, I've had obviously liver issues for the last 25 years. So I really know what to look for. And my urine gets really dark when my liver is stressed because of the excess bilirubin that it produces. So my urine was super dark, stool was getting lighter, and I was like, you know what? My liver really doesn't like this anymore. And it was doing good, like I said, for the first couple weeks. And then it just progressively started getting worse. And not like in a way where I wasn't developing ammonia smells. I wasn't, there's no jaundice. It wasn't bad in that regard. It was just the beginning signs for me that my liver's really struggling here. And I needed to figure out, at that time what I needed to do, because we were also in the process of moving. I could walk to work. My husband and I had different schedules, and we only had the one vehicle out here in California. So one of us would walk to work, and it was like half a mile, but we were living in a really shady area. So we actually just moved this past week, and we're like 4.5 miles away. And I'm thinking, one of us is going to have to bike. I wanted to be the one to bike because I wanted the exercise. Like, I really wanted to exercise. It was weird. It's like I felt like I had a little extra energy, and I was craving, my body seemed to be craving exercise. I don't know how else to describe it. But yet when I would walk or even just ride my bike the half a mile, I was exhausted. So I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bike 4.5 miles on carnivore. I had gone hiking a few times. In beginning of carnivore, I did really well. And then middle of carnivore, when I went again, I could not do anywhere near what I did in the first couple weeks. So I was very concerned, and for myself, I think this is a me issue, not a carnivore issue, is because of my liver. And I think that I need to kind of balance that. So when I came off carnivore a couple weeks ago, I actually broke my diet, if you will, with a nice big salad. That wasn't like really big, but I had a really easy salad with some avocado oil, balsamic vinegar, and first of all, it was really, really, really good. Second of all, I think I lost an additional. So I don't know if I said anything about this before. I lost 25 pounds in those 2.5 months on carnivore. I lost an additional 5 pounds in 2 weeks. And I want to say, I don't know where the water came from, because, I was, like I said, I still had swelling in my ankles throughout carnivore. It was better. But overall, like with the weight coming down, some of the swelling had come down. But swelling in the ankles is also a sign of liver issues. And so my swelling of my ankles was actually a little bit worse, a couple days here and there. And I was like, I really got to stop this. So I did. Had salad. And I had a salad for a couple of days, ate some fruit. I was very slow to transition. And all I know is after that first day, I was in the bathroom peeing minimum 5 or 6 times within the first 2 hours after that salad. And I have never seen, and I don't even think in my entire life have I ever seen such clear urine. And I diuresed and diuresed and diuresed. It was the weirdest thing. And then, and my salad wasn't big enough to have taken in that much water, and I wasn't drinking a lot of water that day. So I know that wasn't it. But anyway, throughout the week, my urine, and since then, has remained extremely clear. And so I know that my liver is feeling a lot better. I did have a few cheat days where I did have gluten and bread, and I know I shouldn't have. There was like 2 days there. And so on those days, my urine did turn darker. I did notice a little more swelling. So I am actually realizing kind of what my liver wants and doesn't want right now. And still okay with the meat as long as I have fruits and veggies. And I seem to be okay with that. And I'm also focusing again on the probiotics, but not just taking probiotics over the counter, because our food is so diverse and we need that diversity. So I did start adding some sauerkraut. I've been taking the kefir on and off throughout Carnivore anyway. And I'm very fortunate to be able to get raw kefir. And I'll be starting my own, making my own kombucha, which I really like. Because all the kombucha I've had in the stores always has added sugar. And I don't add any. I mean, you have to feed the SCOBY. So yes, you do have to put in sugar. But at the end of the SCOBY eating up most of the sugar, there's very little sugar left in my kombucha, and all I do is add in actually fruit to flavor it. And my favorite's actually strawberry, which I really, really love and really want some. But anyway, it's going to take me like a month to grow my SCOBY. So having that diverse probiotic-rich foods, I wanted to mention this because the big thing that people say why we shouldn't have fruits and vegetables, with carnivore, why people go carnivore and why being vegetarian is bad. Vegetarianism to me is just bad because any diet you have to supplement with, to me, is not a true diet. Okay, that's not healthy for you. If you cannot get all your protein sources and you're having to take supplements, then I really think that that's bad. And I've seen plenty of vegetarians, they come into the ER and I will pick them out. Like, you could put a line up and I can pick out the vegetarians just because they have a very distinct look to their skin. And it's almost like an undertone gray color. I don't know how to describe it, which is very sad. But anyway, so this whole oxalate thing I wanted to touch on because, again, my research brought me to this conclusion that I don't think fruits and vegetables are bad for us. And I'll explain why. They're bad for us in our society now, today, yes, because they have made fruits and vegetables to be, with all this hybridization and trying to make fruit sweeter and with more sugar, they don't have anywhere near the nutrients they had 50 years ago. We know all this. Like, this is not rocket science. They've been playing with our food for generations. So getting heirloom seeds, obviously, growing your own food is the best, which is what I plan to do when I go back home to Kentucky. And in the meantime, I try to get as much organic, locally sourced food as I can. But anyway, back to this oxalate thing. And this was a rude awakening. I was like, whoa, like mind blown that the doctors who are all pro carnivore haven't touched on this, because it kind of debunks the whole fruits and vegetables are bad for you. Because to me, I don't buy it. I can't buy the fact that God created all this good fruits and veggies and they're bad for us. I don't. And they have such good healing properties, and they're so good to eat, like strawberries and berries and apples, and anyway, I digress again. However, so I found this interesting, is that our diets are this, standard American diet, which is very sad. We are, on top of the sad diet, we also have been, all of us, almost not every single one of us in the United States, but pretty much almost all of us, have had antibiotics at some point, which have killed a lot of our gut flora and really messed with that. Our guts, that's why the obesity rate is as high as it is, in my opinion, is that we have killed the gut flora. Our guts cannot process food the way it's supposed to. And believe it or not, oxalates are actually, there's this very specific probiotic strain that breaks down oxalates. So when you're eating your fruits and vegetables and you're having like kimchi, or you're having some kefir with that, there are specific probiotics that will break down the oxalates. That's their food. The oxalates are their food. So in the perfect world, right, biblically speaking, all right, when you think about Adam and Eve, or in the Bible where the Garden of Eden was, full of fruits and vegetables, we're still created to eat that. We're still created to eat that, and meat, and all the food on this earth was given to us by God to eat. Okay. And so, like I said, that's why I always had a hard time with this argument that the plants are trying to kill you. I don't buy that. I just don't. They do have some bad properties, but they have a lot of good properties. But some of those bad properties are broken down by the probiotics. But what are we all lacking? Probiotics, because of all the antibiotics we've all had as kids, or even as adults, or whenever. And I think that is one of the biggest things I've discovered with all the research I've done, is while I don't think carnivore is necessarily bad, because I don't see where we need to supplement anything to survive a carnivore diet. And like I said, we have indigenous people who live on a carnivore diet, and they survived, and like I said, thousands of years. And so, but I don't think it's meant for all of us. I think that we're all meant, the majority of us are meant to eat like an omnivore. And so that's just my personal take on it. And I think that doing carnivore short term has a tremendous amount of benefits. I mean, I've seen them myself, and I've appreciated them, and I will use carnivore in the future, and I'll keep my videos up, because I really think that, and there's other videos I still want to make about how to make certain foods, because like I said, I still think that carnivore, it for me is a tool that we use to help us to gain that better health. So coming off of carnivore, I have felt tremendously better. Oh my gosh, I went for a 3-mile bike ride today, because I got to start my bike riding tomorrow, actually, for my 4.5 miles one way, so it's 9 miles a day, and I went 3 miles today. I'm not sore, I'm not whatever. And so like I said, I've been off carnivore for a couple weeks, and I actually have way more energy. My hair is still slightly falling out, but nowhere near as what it was on carnivore. So I do have some, like I said, benefits I'm getting back. Um, the energy has been the big one, huge one. There's a couple of things that I didn't realize that carnivore helped until I went off of it. So, like, but they're really minor things. Like, I have it's like a little tiny, the ittiest bitty, tiniest patch of eczema inside one of my sides of my nose. It'll be there for like a month, and it'll go away, and it'll come back, and it itches a little bit. If I just rub my nose, it can make my nose just bleed. It's like really super super sensitive, and one little tiny very circular patch, and then it's been like this for years. It just comes and goes, comes and goes. Anyway, so that came back. I was like, oh, okay, I forgot. Yeah, I guess I didn't have it for the last few months, which was nice. So I have had some, like I said, minor things. Some things have not come back. I was having, let's see, like, I want to say, like, if I coughed or sneezed, what we call like interstitial cystitis, like a little bit of urinary leakage from bladder spasms, and I would have them at work. I always wore a pad because it was just like, ugh. And it was never anything like major, but I've had that for, I want to say, the last good 5 years. And that went away completely during Carnivore. I haven't worn a pad in quite a few months and not had any problems at all. I can sneeze like 10 times and nothing. And it's not come back. And so in the last few weeks, I should knock on some wood, because I was like, I don't want that to come back, because that's been really nice, having that gone. And I'm trying to think what else. Like I said, some really good things came out of Carnivore, and and some other things, like I said, I didn't like I said, the hair loss and the fatigue. So my husband, he was on it for 4 weeks. The entire 4 weeks has had nothing but brain fog. He just has been feeling out of it. He doesn't feel good. His gut is all over the place. And he's been having kefir every day. And he's been really, really, I mean, he was trying so hard. And the other day, he's just like, I'm so exhausted. And yeah, we're working 48 hours a week minimum. I'm going to be picking up to 60. But that's not like him to be that tired, and he works a lot all the time. So it's more than just a keto flu. And so for him, again, we're going to use this, I think, as a tool. We're going to use it a couple times a year, as well as like some fasting. And I really still want to get healthier. I really do. And I want to make sure my husband gets healthier. And like, his gut's way down. He's lost probably over 20 pounds. So yeah, he loves the weight loss, but he does not love like the fatigue. He doesn't like the brain fog. He is miserable. And like I said, I thought it was just going to be the first couple weeks, but it's been over a month. He came the beginning of July. He came before July 4th, and we're now August 7th, and he's like, I can't do it anymore. So we broke his the other day. He was actually really bad at work. He wasn't feeling good, and I had to have some crackers, something with like carbs in it, or Jello or something, because he was with some sugar. He wasn't doing well at all. He was very almost lethargic. He almost felt like he had to leave work. And that's not like him at all. So this morning I had some sourdough bread, and I made some French toast out of the sourdough bread, and he had a few slices, and he seems to be a little bit more energy. So we're trying to incorporate healthier carbs, with very little to no gluten. So I need the carbs for the bike riding, because again, being on Carnivore, I could barely do half a mile. Definitely not going to push myself 4.5 miles, only to find out I'm stuck on the side of the road with massive cramps. So that was like my original reason to stop, because I knew that like a month in advance. And then, like I said, the other reason was my liver. And so that's why we came off of carnivore. And again, I don't think it's bad. I think it's a very good thing. I'm very glad I did it, and I will do it again in the future at some point, probably at the end of the year, beginning of next year, during the winter, and then go back to, the fruits and vegetables and things like that, come springtime. And that's just kind of, it's kind of like a tool I want to use for maybe a couple months every year. And again, I think it's healing for my liver, but I don't think doing it for a whole year, I like I said, I was watching my liver get worse, and that was concerning. So I needed to give it a break from the heavy fat and the ketosis and things like that. And it seems to, I think it likes jumping back and forth. That's just kind of like a feeling I'm getting. So we'll see in about, another 6 months or so. I'm hoping to do another round of carnivore and see how my liver is at that point. I want to go get my labs checked. I'll probably do that in a couple weeks. I didn't have them checked before I started carnivore. I think I had them checked like a year and a half ago, but they've been the same for years, actually, for the last like five years. My cholesterol's been like the 220 range. I have good HDL. I have like, I don't know, I want to say it's in the 80-90 range. I have bad triglycerides that I do have. So like, I really want to get all that checked and kind of see where I'm at with my blood work. But anyway, I had pre-diabetes, my A1C was, I think as high as it went was like 5.8, came down to like 5.4. So about pre-diabetes range, with that 5.8. Never went near 6 or above 6 at all. So I'm really hoping that that in of itself has really helped as well. So I'm gonna get that checked here. Like I said, I'll probably do some lab work by next month, and I'll share all those results with you guys. So anyway, that's it. I mean, that's really what I came to update everybody on. And like I said, I'm still gonna do some videos about the food and how to make carnivore easy, because I really, if anything, I really loved it. It was so easy to do for work, very simple. And I would like to share the tips I used with working a lot of hours, and how to keep carnivore simple when your life is super busy. So anyway, hope everybody has a good day.